This video is a continuation of the last couple of videos that we've been doing. In the last video we put together the lower frame and the Z assembly. In this video we're going to continue that and we're going to go on the top side. Here we have the XY gantry, and we're going to put together these gantry blocks. We have our Y blocks, and we have our heat inserts already put in. With these, since it is such a tight space, let's assume that this is our heat insert tool. We're just going to go in here at an angle like so. This is heating it, and that's how you're going to push it in. You don't want to go like this because you will melt your blocks. Let's go ahead and we're going to do our bearing stacks, and then we'll clean and lubricate our bearings. Right now I just have them soaking in some isopropyl alcohol. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take our 5x25 socket head bolt, and we're going to thread it in here. If you see here, I'm having a little bit of trouble getting in here. So we're actually going to take a 5mm reamer, and we're just going to clean up these openings so that our bolt can go in there freely. So again, we're going to put the bolt in here, hold it in there with our finger like so, and we're going to get our washer or shim on the bolt, and then our bearing. Move the bolt up a little bit so that the bearing doesn't fall off. Next one in, move it up a little bit, and get that next washer in there. And once that washes in there, just get a couple threads in there so that it doesn't go anywhere. And there you go. Now we're gonna put our linear bearing in, but before we do that, we need to lubricate them. You have your rows of your bearings. You want to make sure that it installs in an X pattern. Just make sure you get the one with the stacks in it. In an X pattern instead of a cross like here. Now you have your bearings installed. They're flat, they're not going anywhere, and they're in the right orientation. So we're going to repeat this for the next one. With your Y bearing stacks and your Y carriers assembled, we're going to move on to the X carriage, and it's going to be basically the same. We're going to install our linear bearings in them, and if you haven't already, you're going to put your heat inserts in there, and then we'll add our rods and put everything together. And that is your X carriage, and we will insert our linear rods. These are your 350mm 8mm rods, and you want to make sure that the side with 6 are in the front. So we'll go ahead and we will insert the rods into here like so. And you want to make sure these rods are nice and clean as well. And then we will take our Y carrier with this piece right here. This is going to be for your X end stop, which is going to be mounted right here. And we're going to insert these rods until they are flush. And just like it says in the instructions here, we want to make sure that the length between these pieces right here is 280. You want to take your time with doing this. This is a very vital part of the gantry alignment. This portion will help determine how square the top frame is, as well as making sure that there is no binding. And now with our XY gantry assembly at 280 millimeters together, we are good. We have a nice fluid movement, no spring back on either side. So we're good to proceed. Okay, so now we have our pieces in front of us. We're going to move on to the top frame now that our XY gantry is together. And we're going to start off with our stepper motor assemblies. So starting off with our 5x35 and our 5x20s in here. And we're going to flip these over for our bearing stacks. Yes, I did choose these Fushi bearings because they are blue. So we have our shim, bearing, shim. Let's add our M4 screws and T-nuts. Start with our M5x35 through here, and we'll put a bearing stack on this one. So we got washer, bearing, washer. This will go like so. Stepper mounts. Okay, moving on, and with those clean, we can work on our bearing stacks in the front. So with these, you're going to be screwing right into plastic, so you got to be mindful of that. But we're going to go from the bottom on here. So we're going to take our M3 by 6 screws to connect these together. If you don't have a good reaming set, I highly recommend this kit from KB3D. It comes with a nice little carrier and has all the sizes you need, except for the 12mm. I just bought that on Amazon. So KB3D, if you want to add a 12mm, that'd be pretty sweet. So there you go. There's the top of the back, and now we're going to add our M4s. Ready for the extrusion. So let's grab our 345mm 2020 extrusion. Great, so here's our extrusion, and as you can see in the picture, you want the holes going vertically this way, or horizontally, my apologies. So we'll slide this on, like so. Just so that it doesn't fall off, I'm just going to snug these right here, but this is not the final resting spot. And now we will take our stepper towers and we will get these installed. So from the back of the printer, it's going to look like this. You're going to slide this part that way, like so, and then slide our extrusion. You want to make sure that it's nice and flush, and go ahead and just get it snug. We're going to want to go back and make sure that these are square. So for right now, we're just getting them in place. And now that our steppers are in place, we can snug up all the other T-nuts in the back. So now we have this and our M5 by 12s. Okay, so one thing to take note of is with the ultimate frame, we now have our blind joints in here. So as you can see on this side, we have our holes further back, and this is for the front. These holes right here are close to the rear, so this is going to be your rear. So we are going to preload some M5 by 10 button head screws with the M5 washers in the rear, and that's going to be for our rear support. So let's go ahead and get those. Like so. And then we can slide this on our T-nuts. Just snug these up, but we are not going to tighten them because we need to make sure that this is flat. So with those tight, and our button head screws preloaded. The T-nuts are tight. We will move on to squaring the frame. So this is the part that I mentioned that we don't want to overlook. W1 is from extrusion to extrusion, and W2 is in the front. And both of those measurements need to be about 407 millimeters. So we are sitting at 407 and a half in the rear, 408 in the front, and then the diagonals need to both be 546. So we'll go from, we'll do it the other way so we have a flat surface to put the tape measure on. So from this side to this side, so we got 576 over here and 576 over here. Our top frame is actually square, so we have 407, 408 in the back, 407, 408 in the front. So couldn't have asked for better, and both diagonals are 576. So I am very pleased with how this turned out. And I feel comfortable moving on. We're going to insert our remaining two 8mm rods into our stepper towers. So one is going to go on this side, and you want it fully seated, and the same on this side. And now that your rods are in, we can slide the gantry on. Make sure you pay attention to the orientation of it. Remember, your front has the 6 heat set inserts, and you have your end stop tab on the side. So let's go ahead and slide this on. Like so. And now we'll put our front corners on, but we can't forget to add our button head screws for our ultimate upgrade. And then we got 1, and 2. And I'm just gonna put my finger there so they don't slide all the way down. And then we'll take our front piece and get those on. Line your rod up and seat it in place. We'll take our 3mm and just snug up just one of the screws for now, and repeat on the other side. And now we need to add our M5 by 12s in the front. So now that those are in, I'm going to loosen and then tighten our T-nuts, just to make sure that they go back in place appropriately. And flip it over. Bring our screws down and tighten bottom ones. And then while I'm here, I'm also going to tighten the grub screws on the rods. Alright, so I'm going to read this for you. This says, make sure the M5 screws in the Y gantry block are loose. Verify the 8mm rods are sliding on the Y gantry reasonably easily. Check the Y-axis rods to make sure they are secured properly without noticeable play. Move the gantry to the rear. Adjust the spacing, which is A, which is here, between the Y gantry blocks if it doesn't on its own, so the gantry is moving back and forth easily without any springiness or resistance. If the distance is too big or too small, the gantry will return to the front by itself. Slightly tighten the M5 screws on the Y gantry just so that the X rods will keep in the right position. Move the tool head to both the X axis ends to test if it slides easy. If you feel some resistance and or the tool head springs back a little bit, adjust the M5 screws. Note: X-rod spacing. The X-rod spacing in the Y gantry blocks is designed to be just right when the M5 screws are properly tightened. If you tighten the screws too much or too little, the parts will get compressed a bit too much or too little, resulting in the wrong X-rod spacing, and thus not smooth tool head motion on the X-axis ends. So basically what that's saying, and I'll show you, is keeping it level. You want to bring your tool head back and you want it to stay there. If it bounces back up like that, you have a spacing issue here. And we'll do the same in the front. So if you notice, when I bring it up front, it stays in place. That's because we took our time earlier to make sure that it's 280mm wide over here. And same thing with the tool head. You want to move it to the side on both sides and make sure that it doesn't spring back. So we have nice smooth movements front and rear, and we're not springing. So I'm happy with how that sits currently. So that's going to be it for this video. We have the top frame built. It's square. It looks great. Everything measures out perfectly, and I'm very happy with how this sits. So what we're going to do next in the next video is we're going to put this frame on top of the bottom frame and get started on the electronics panel. From there, we're going to add our electronics, our tool head, and get this thing fired up. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions, again, just like last time, go ahead and leave them in the comments. I will do my best to answer every single one of them. And if there's anything that you feel that I missed, please let me know and I'll address it in the next video. And if there's anything else that you'd like to see, let me know. And again, hit that like button if you like the video, subscribe if you like this content, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.